Hello and welcome back to the AA NBA podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Hammond.
And I'm Aditya.
And today we've got a huge slate of NBA news, NBA 75, award predictions, just first week reactions. We haven't done the podcast in a while because it was the offseason and the offseason's boring. So, do you want to start with some news? You want to start with NBA 75? What do you want to start with?
I wanted to start with just addressing the new rule changes first because it's the biggest part of this new season,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes.
And these new rule changes have been absolutely awesome.
Yes.
I'm loving all of it. I'm not saying basketball wasn't fun to watch these past few years because it has been, and I've been watching. But, these first few weeks, and granted, it's still early in the season, but so far, this has been some of, the most entertaining basketball we've seen in a few years.
Yeah, it feels like every day I see, a tweet or, a video on TikTok of, somebody talking about how much better the games flow now.
Mm-hmm.
And the one person I do want to bring up is Trae Young because he has been vocal, to say the least, talking about the new rule changes. And I do want... Now, I'm a huge Trae Young fan. I'm not going to act like I'm not. But I do think he has a little bit of a point because, like all new major rule changes, there is still stuff to work out with it because there are players that aren't getting calls that they definitely should get. That there are fouls that are occurring that aren't being called right now, and I would assume that it's going to creep back towards. They'll start calling that stuff, but I do understand right now how these rules could change. NBA players kind of stop getting every call. They're not getting the ticky-tack fouls anymore, which is good, but they're also not getting legit foul calls, which is not as good. So it'll creep back towards that, but Trae Young was getting a lot of shit for that, but I kind of thought I got what he was saying more than everybody else did. It felt like everybody kind of missed the point that he was bitching about it for no reason, but he kind of does have a... If anybody else was saying it besides James Harden, I think people would agree.
I think the funniest part is Trae Young's adjusted pretty well. He
Yeah.
hasn't really gotten worse, which is impressive because I was talking about this with Noah the other day. So many guards are struggling right now. Not even just free throw wise, but when a change like this is implemented, even though it targets free throws, a lot of these guys have to change how they look at their offensive game. So a lot of these guys are a lot more inefficient right now, and they'll figure it out. But Trae Young is one of the few scoring guards that hasn't really lost a step so far this season, but he's the biggest hater.
Yeah. Yeah, people just... I mean, I understand because he did draw fouls in an annoying way, but he does have kind of a point about the kind of hard fouls that aren't getting called.
Yeah.
I do think it's hilarious. Every single time the Nets play, I'll see 5 videos of James Harden just throwing his hands up after he turns the ball over and yelling at the refs, and they're like,
You just gotta stop going for those now. You
Yeah.
gotta think at some point he'll stop.
Yeah, he will eventually. He'll just find another way. My favorite are the James Harden might be washed narratives.
Yeah, dude, people... I mean, I'm all for overreacting a little bit, but that's a bit much.
Yeah, oh my... this guy whose game was, built on... he's one of the most innovative offensive players of all time. He's going to figure something else out. But if you take away one of the things that he relied on, yeah, his production's going to go down a little bit. We don't need to act like Hard Mickey is washed or whatever. He's not.
Yeah.
He's still very, very good. And on the point of washed players, Russell Westbrook.
Oh man, the Lakers as a whole have been struggling, but I feel like he's at the center of all of that.
Yeah, so I go back and forth on Westbrook all the time because he used to be one of my favorite players. He still is. But like I used to be a little bit more lenient with him because I was like, okay, well yeah, like he's not super efficient shooting, and then he got worse and he just kept getting worse, and then it started to really hurt his team and him.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, he's starting to feel like Ben Simmons, where it's like, if he was the number one guy, I still think this. I think that Russell Westbrook is the number one, like, floor-raising player. I mean, outside of, like, LeBron. But, like, I still think he's, like, a top 5 floor raiser in the league. Like, give him the ball, give him a shitty roster, and he's going to take that team to the playoffs.
Yeah, he'll take a 14 seed to a 7 seed.
Right.
But he's not taking a 7 seed to a 2 seed.
Right. He is not elevating the Lakers, which were a championship team without him. And last year, like, I didn't really know why the Lakers made such a huge change, because they had a championship roster set up, and they had all these pieces set up. And the reason that they didn't do well last year was because Anthony Davis and LeBron got hurt. But it wasn't like, oh, Anthony Davis. It wasn't like, oh, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and like Kyle Kuzma are the worst players in the world during the regular season, and LeBron and Anthony Davis are healthy, and like they're the 7 seed because of Kuzma and KCP. They were the 7 seed because LeBron and AD got hurt. That's why. So it's kind of making the Westbrook trade a little bit more puzzling when you look at it from that angle and like just look at how he's played. I don't know. What do you think?
One thing I do want to point out, obviously his shooting is a struggle, but we've known that for years now. Like the thing is, we assumed they'd figure it out. The problem that I want to point out, which I think personally is worse than just not being able to shoot the ball, is that for the past, 2 to 3 years now, he's been averaging 5+ turnovers a game, which you just can't do when you're trying to win a championship.
Yeah, that's the... Turning the ball over if you can't shoot is a really... Like, okay, it's one thing if you're, like, the best passer in the league, but even, like, 5 turnovers is just so many. Like...
Mm-hmm. And another thing, too, is... Like, I think the biggest showing of this was against the Thunder, but their age as a team is showing so much. They're getting laps run around them by young teams right now. They have no business losing to that Thunder team. When you have a team full of old guys, you expect a veteran presence, and the fact that you blow a 20-some point lead to a team of essentially players on rookie contracts is embarrassing.
Yeah, they feel like the 99 Rockets, like that team with Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen and Hakeem, when Michael Jordan retires and Scottie's like, well, shit, I gotta go somewhere, and they form this quote-unquote super team, and Scottie Pippen was a little bit younger, and that he was kind of the Anthony Davis of that team, I guess, because he was a little bit younger, but everybody else was still pretty old. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, like, this team is just so old.
I'm all for a veteran presence, but they have a little too much veteran presence, not enough players that are able to run back and forth on the court.
Yeah, the other thing with them is they have, like, 4 Udonis Haslams on that team. Like,
yeah.
like, they've got, like, a decent amount of old centers that are like kind of useless. Like DeAndre Jordan is the most Udonis. He's a more Udonis Haslem player than Udonis Haslem is at this point. Like he's just like a unathletic like bench. Like, and he's starting for them. He's like a bench center that's like getting starting. That's a really good point
that I forgot to I completely forgot to bring up. I guess it wasn't a problem during their championship run, but the fact that Anthony Davis just completely refuses to play center minutes is he's averaging 3 blocks a game. Imagine how good that defense could be if he was in the post.
Yeah, it's the difference between It's the difference between like him and Giannis, really, because Giannis is willing to play whatever position is necessary to get it done, and that's why Giannis has the potential to be the best player on a championship team, and Anthony Davis does not. That is why Anthony Davis he was not that guy in New Orleans. He just wasn't, because he refuses to do the hard shit as a superstar that superstars have to do. And it's not like I still think Anthony Davis is a top 10 player, but like that's what separates the guys who are superstars from the guys who are superstars and best player on a championship team level. Like James Harden, for all of his shortcomings in the playoffs, he's willing to change his game to win a championship and be that guy on a championship team. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Giannis, like Steph Curry, all of these guys have done the hard thing if it was necessary for them. And Anthony Davis just doesn't. And that's kind of the difference between the tier 1 championship superstars and the tier 2 second fiddle superstars. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's enough Lakers talk.
Yeah.
Although it is fun to rip on the Lakers, but
it's fun. Yeah. I'm not going to pretend like it's not.
Yeah. But another team that's been struggling that I did want to talk about, I don't know if you had something else you wanted to say.
No, that's it.
Okay. I want to talk about the Clippers a little bit because they're 1-4 right now. Paul George is playing like he would be an MVP candidate if they were 500, but they suck. And I did want to talk about that a little bit. I'm not going to lie, I haven't tuned into all of their games.
I have not watched a single Clippers game this year.
Okay, well, I've done a little more than that, I guess. But they just haven't... Like, Paul George is doing the most that he possibly can, it feels like. And then they just lose.
Yeah, that roster's just like Terrence Mann, good basketball player. He's like their second or third best player right now.
Yeah.
And that's like not great. It's not great.
Like I thought they'd probably be like a play-in tournament team without Kawhi, but like right now it looks like this team can't function without Kawhi.
Yeah, I had them. Where did I have them? I had them the 7th seed, and that was a lot because, like, Kawhi was, like, Kawhi didn't play a decent amount of last year and a decent amount of the year before, and they didn't look great without him. But I think, and I could be wrong, but I think their record was, like, around 500 without him the last couple of years. Does that sound right?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, they didn't have him for a good chunk.
Yeah.
Last year, right? It was a small sample size, but they were about there, I would say.
I think it was like at least 15 games that they didn't have him. Yeah, they just... I mean, I'm sure that they'll get it together because, like, you can only lose so many games with a player playing as well as Paul George is right now, because I have seen those, like, his stat lines. I have seen him, like, just bawling. And it just hasn't fallen together for the Clippers yet. I will say Eric Bledsoe's been, like, pretty good for my fantasy team, and that's a bad sign for them because that means he's, like, one of their, like, he's getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he's a starting point guard right now.
Yeah,
or
and
starting
that's
shooting
bad.
guard, sorry, because they're starting him and Reggie Jackson.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, Reggie Jackson and Eric Bledsoe. That's like the 2014, these guys might be all-stars next year team. Like,
yeah.
Oh, man.
I wanted to... So this is from the Trailblazers game yesterday. Paul George had 42 points, 8 rebounds on 15 of 24 from the field in 34 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
They lost this game... Keep in mind, he had 42 of their 92 points. They lost 92-111 to the Trailblazers. The only other starter in double digits for them, or not starter, so the only other player on their entire team above double digits was Luke Kennard with 16. Everyone else was under 10, and it wasn't like a good under 10. Nick Batum had 2, Zubac had 3, Bledsoe had 3. That is 3/5 of their starting lineup who combined for 8 points.
Yeah, you know who they could use right now? They could use Patrick Beverly.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but like he would be better than what they're doing right now.
Like, he might be, like, their third or fourth best scorer right now.
Yeah. That's depressing.
Yeah, that is really bad. Yeah, I don't know if it's depressing. Like, I don't even know if I have anything more to say about them.
Yeah, we can. Oh, yeah, if you take away Luke Kennard and Paul George, this team scored, 34 points?
Oh my god.
So, yeah, it's embarrassingly bad.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, but yeah, we'll move on from the Clippers. It's sad. So we covered the rule change. We've covered some.
Ooh, I want to talk about the Timberwolves.
That's good.
I think that the Timberwolves have turned the corner. I really do. And
this is a conversation we've been having for the past 5 years.
yeah, well, it feels like the Timberwolves, like at the beginning of like the last couple years after they got rid of Jimmy Butler, have started out like above 500 in their first 5 games, and we're like, is this the year? And it never is. But I kind of think that this is the year. And
Anthony Edwards is playing like an all-star.
yeah, look, you're lying to yourself if you think that roster isn't good, because it is. Cat is an All-NBA center. D'Angelo Russell is a all-star level shooting guard. Anthony Edwards, I think, is going to be an all-star this year. And then you've got Pat Beverly, you've got Malik Beasley, Damari Carroll is like a decent 8th man. Like, they've got like a 6 to 8 or like a 8 to 9 man rotation that's pretty solid. And like, I'm sorry, bad teams don't go on the road against the defending champs and kick their ass for 90% of the game. Like, that was a tough, grind-it-out win, top to bottom. They stifled a comeback at the end. Like, that's the game where I was like, oh, Minnesota might be all right this year. Mm-hmm. Because, like, that's not... Like, bad teams don't do that. Like, Anthony Edwards is balling. It's just like, I don't know. It feels like this team's different.
I think they're definitely improved. I would like to see a little more from D'Lo, considering his contract, but
yeah, absolutely.
Edwards has been incredible, and he's super fun to watch too.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I honestly think the biggest X factor is Cat, because like obviously when he plays, he's a 25 and I don't know how many rebounds he gets, but like he can score the ball. He'll shoot 50% from 3, but he's got to stay healthy. He's got to like be on the court for the most of the season, which I don't think we've seen him do for a little bit. But granted, like the last few years, he's gone through a lot, so I don't want to like blame him or anything. But we do have to see him be on the court a little more.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, the Timberwolves. I mean, as easy as it is to say, like, oh, you know, they always start hot. I do agree with you that it looks a little different this year.
Yeah, it's not like they're like, because it feels like they've beaten like a shitty team or a couple shitty teams, and they're like 3-1, and everybody's like, uh-oh, here come the Timberwolves. But like, and then they kind of come back to earth when they start playing good teams. But like, they're playing good teams and they're winning.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to go over the NBA 75, or you got another team you want to talk about?
I mean, just same old Pacers. Chris Duarte is like the best player. He's Rookie of the Year, MVP front runner right now. But yeah, the Pacers are not that good.
Yeah, it's tough out here for the Pacers.
Tough out here.
I will say I do like the Bulls so far.
Yeah, the Bulls and the
been
Knicks
pretty
both look good. I thought the Knicks would take a little bit of a step back, and they haven't. And the Bulls look really good. It feels like that's the most hype a Knicks Bulls game has gotten since like 1995 or something.
There was a little bit of overlap between D Rose and Melo, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I will say that the Bulls have like their hardest schedule of the season coming up this next month. Like so far, they haven't played great teams as much as I want to say like, oh, they're really good. You know, they beat the Pelicans, the Cavs, but They do have a pretty tough schedule coming up. They play the Jazz tonight. Then they have the Celtics, the Sixers twice, the Nets, Mavericks, Warriors. They got the Clippers, Lakers, Trailblazers, Nuggets, Knicks again. So they got some tough teams coming up. But I honestly, they've looked good enough so far where I'm not like, oh, this team's going to, fall out of the playoffs or whatever. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. All right.
75?
75?
I
got some thoughts.
I do too, but I do want to start overall by saying I don't think they did a terrible job.
No, not at all.
It is on the list, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
bad.
it's so hard to do 75 players, especially when there's already been a 50 list, and you can't really kick anybody from the 50 list off, even though they should have. Yeah. So you want to trade off? We'll each give a couple hot takes about it, a couple thoughts.
I don't really have any I guess I have players that I would take off and put on, but I don't know if I have any
All right.
super hot takes.
So you start. You give me a thought about it.
Okay. I think they should have removed Bill Walton and put in Dwight Howard, because Bill Walton was really not that good for more than a season.
Yeah. Bill Walton is far, far, far and away the worst player on this list. Bill Walton. I was listening to Bomani Jones from ESPN, his podcast this week, and he had somebody on that kind of put it perfectly. He was like, Bill Walton is like if Derrick Rose won a championship for the Lakers coming off the bench playing 17 a game, and that's what put him on this list, because that really is what it is. Bill Walton did everything you can do in the NBA over 2 years. He won an MVP, DPOY, Finals MVP, ring, all that stuff. But it was 2 years. It was 2 years of that, and then he won Sixth Man of the Year and won a championship on the 86 Celtics. I think if he was on the 83 Sixers, he wouldn't even be on this list. But the 86 Celtics are a mythical team that oh my God, they're one of the 5 best teams of all time. And Bill Walton was a major contributor off the bench. That's a big part of his legacy. And I love Bill Walton. He's a great announcer. I'm not a Bill Walton hater, but putting him on there over McGrady, over Alex English, over Dwight Howard was shocking, to say the least. And honestly, it was kind of infuriating.
Yeah. What you got?
Dame. Dame should not be on this list.
I agree.
Look, Damian Lillard has become one of the most overrated all-time players over 2 years because he's good in the playoffs. And look, Dame's great, but there's no way you're taking Dame over McGrady. Dame over Dwight Howard is probably the most egregious guy left off this list. And there are probably 5 or 10 more guys I would name to put over this list before the Dame. McGrady. Alex English, I'll get to Alex English later. But, I mean, Ben Wallace not being on the list, I'd put him on over Dame. There's just so many. Dame has become so ridiculously overrated. He's still great, but, he's 31. And, there's just no really argument for him to be on the list besides the all NBAs. But even then, it's kind of he doesn't have as many as McGrady. Dwight Howard has 3 DPOYs. Ben Wallace has 4 DPOYs. There's just not really Vince Carter. There's just not really an argument I can think of for Dame over any of those guys.
I think the same can be said for Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis is a little different because Anthony Davis has hold on, let me pull up Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has, because I'm fine with Giannis being on the list because Giannis has an MVP,
Finals MVP, 2-time MVP, defensive player. His resume is filled out.
AD is a 4-time All NBA first team. 4-time all defense, 3-time blocks leader, 8-time all-star, NBA champ. I do think he has a little bit of a better case than Dame, but I do kind of agree with you that maybe it's not quite as spectacular, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, what's your next
Another
one?
guy I was looking at, like, I don't know if he should have made it, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of people going around, and even like Klay Thompson. I was like, Klay Thompson said, "Can't believe I was like left off that list or whatever." But I've been thinking about it. I don't really know if he should be on there.
I don't know if Klay Thompson would make my top 100, honestly.
Like, he's obviously very good, but as someone who's been nothing more than a second option on a championship team, like, he's obviously very good and one of the best shooters ever, but he's never been more than the second option. When he was a second option for the unanimous MVP, and then after that, he was a third option.
Yeah, here's the thing with Klay. Klay, this is starting to feel like a couple of years ago when, like, Dame would not make the All-Star game, and then he'd, like, bitch and moan about it for, like, a couple weeks, and everybody would be like, all right, dude, relax. Like, maybe it was kind of bullshit, but, like, stop complaining about it. Like, this is kind of like what that... And Dame was at least justified because he kind of deserved to make the All-Star game a couple of those years. But, like, Klay Thompson does not... There's no justification to put Klay Thompson on this list. Like, he's not, like, he didn't, like, revolutionize the game. That was Curry. Like, he didn't... Like, he's not... Like, the best thing you can say about Klay Thompson is he's, like, the fourth best shooter of all time. And, like, that's not really enough for me, personally. He's also, what?
Yeah.
Like, he's made one All-NBA team, and it was third team. Like, is that really 2 All-NBA teams? Like, is that really what it is? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, 5-time All-Star, All-Defensive Team 1 time, 2-time All-NBA, and a 3-time champion. But
yeah,
that's I just said, the 3-time champion, he was a third option, like
on 2 of those,
behind 2 MVP candidates, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also, I know you wanted to talk about Alex English. I want you to do that because I liked the video you made on him on Aiden Hammond Sports on TikTok.
Thank you.
So yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about him.
Yeah, Alex English. Alex English is the most underrated and overlooked player of all time, including Moses Malone, who's the guy that everybody talks about in the overlooked NBA players.
He's so overlooked that he's overlooked in the overlooked NBA players list.
Yes, exactly. Alex English, and nobody cares about the 1980s Denver Nuggets because they didn't win shit, they didn't do shit, and I understand that. Alex English was the best scorer in the NBA for a decade. Alex English has a 2,000-point cushion on the next leading scorer of the 1980s. The 1980s, Larry Bird was playing. Kareem played most of that decade as a high-level scorer still. Michael Jordan got his start, and that was when Michael Jordan was dropping like 35 points a game his first couple of years. Hakeem played a lot of that decade. Magic Johnson, who wasn't like a prolific scorer, but was still a very consistent good one. Like Moses Malone. He has a 2,000-point cushion on all of those guys. And for reference, the 2010s, LeBron is the leading scorer for the 2010s. He has like a less than 100-point cushion on Kevin Durant, who's the second guy. Alex English has 2,000 points on the next dude. That's crazy. How is that guy not on the list? And, like, if you want to say, like, oh, he only scored. Yeah, he only scored, but he did it a lot. It just feels like somebody that's so good at one thing. He was also an 8-time All-Star. Like, it just... Like, I just don't see a world where that guy shouldn't be on that list.
Yeah. You inspired me to make... I haven't made it yet, but I want to make a video about how the Nuggets are, like, the most disrespected team or, like, underrated team in NBA history, period.
They might be.
Because, like, obviously you just talked about Alex English. No one talks about David Thompson. Not everyone, but like so many people are talking about how Jokic is the worst MVP ever, which is stupid. And like, yeah, granted, I get they haven't won anything, but they have a lot of pretty good players that just no one even knows about.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have another one?
I think that covers it. I did look a little bit into like Pau Gasol because I thought maybe he had a case, but he had less accolades than I really thought he did.
Yeah, Pau Gasol's tough because I kind of combine his career with Marc Gasol's career a little bit, and I'm like, he's like a 7-time All-Star. Like, I think he only made like 5.
Yeah, I thought his resume was a lot more filled out than it was.
Yeah. The only other one that I have to say is Tracy McGrady, which, like, I'm definitely biased, but it also felt like he was left off kind of unjustly. Especially for fucking... I just keep going back to Damian Lillard and Bill Walton. Like, that's just...
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Damian Lillard felt like, we put Westbrook on, so we have to put Dame on because they have kind of this weird rivalry. But, like...
Hold on, boys. We gotta reconnect.
Anyway. McGrady not being on there was ridiculous. 7-time All-NBA, 7-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, the only player Kobe Bryant was ever scared of. Like... I don't know. It just felt like a little bit wild that he was not on that list. Hey, sorry, I think I left the call. Yeah.
All right, cool.
I was just talking about McGrady and how ridiculous it was that he was left off that, especially for Dame. And I was just talking about how he's like a 2-time scoring champ and the only player Kobe was scared of.
Yeah. Even if you want to talk about how his career was cut short by injuries, it wasn't cut short by that much. He didn't really get hurt until he was like, 32 or something? 33?
Yeah, I mean, the cut short by injuries thing, like, even so, that honestly makes his prime a little more impressive because he was able to do that in basically like a 8-year period where he was like arguably the best player in basketball and maybe the best scorer in basketball.
Yeah. Like,
he was winning scoring champs when Kobe and Iverson and Shaq were all, like, very good scorers. And playing and, you know.
Yeah, I think that covers the NBA 75, though. Like, it wasn't that bad of a list.
It wasn't. No.
They just left off some guys and put on some guys that maybe shouldn't have been on there.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of people were talking about Tony Parker maybe making it over someone, but I don't know about that one personally.
Tony Parker's another guy MVP, Tony Parker's another guy, I think, kind of like Pau Gasol, where you think he has more accolades than he does. Like, if you told me Tony Parker was an 8-time All-Star, I'd probably believe you. But I'm going to look right now, and I would be willing to bet he's like a under 6-time All-Star. I bet the over-under... If the over-under was 5.5, I'd bet that. Oh, yeah, he was a 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA second, 1-time All-NBA third. So
it's not bad, but it's not...
Damian Lillard's resume, except he has 4 championships and a Finals MVP. That's really what Tony Parker is.
Yeah, he's Damian Lillard that won more games.
Yeah, and completely different playing style, and he was never the number 1 option. But similar resume.
Yeah. Did you see that Damian Lillard rap he made?
Dude, the song I'm getting so tired of having to hear about how loyal he is.
Yeah, it was kind of
just a little bit.
The problem is he's the one talking about how he could have jumped ship. It's like, we know you could have. Don't complain about it. You had the opportunity to.
At this point, he can't. Like, if he jumps ship, this is going to get... Like, he's going to get so much shit. He has to be He's backed himself into the corner of having to be a trailblazer for life now.
Yeah.
Because, if he ever leaves, they're going to be like... Dame, I thought you were loyal, buddy.
Yeah. The worst part is he's talking about it like he's being forced to stay with the Trailblazers. Like, I get loyalty and all that, but if you're gonna be loyal, don't complain about it. Look at Bradley Beal.
Yeah,
he's not out here saying, guys, look, I'm staying loyal to Washington. Look how much I'm doing for y'all. He's not doing that.
Yeah, it's just really... It's just like I want to like Dame so bad because it's cool to see a great player being loyal to a small market, but like, oh my god, dude, just shut up about it.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Like, we don't need to keep hearing about how great of a guy you are for getting paid like $40 million a year to live in a cool place. Like,
A place where all drugs are legal.
yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just a little bit like, all right, dude, we get it. Jesus.
It's only the 10th time we've heard about this in the last 2 years.
Yeah. I saw somebody say Damian Lillard, because there was a headline that like Damian Lillard wants to be called like a rapper that also plays in the NBA or something. And I saw somebody tweet and they were like, Damian Lillard's an NBA player that has money for a studio. Miles Bridges is a rapper that just happens to hoop. Or something like that.
Dude, Miles Bridges has been popping off this year.
He's awesome, dude.
Wow.
He's so sick.
Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about award predictions?
Hell yeah, let's get to it. You want to go
All
first?
right.
You want me to go first? And what are we starting with?
Let's start with Sixth Man of the Year because that's probably the most like boring and like kind of hard to predict award.
Okay. Granted, this isn't as fun because we didn't do it before any of the games, but it's still cool, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Mine are mostly the same as the list I sent to you like a week ago, except I changed one.
Okay. So, you want to start or you want me to start?
You can start.
All right, my sixth man of the year is Alex Caruso. He's playing like 25 minutes per game for the Bulls off the bench. He's a really good defender. He'll put up like 10, 12 points per game or whatever, but his defense is really what it really helps the Bulls because the Bulls are not a very defensive team already. But like Lonzo plays pretty good defense. Alex Caruso's been putting in some good minutes off the bench. He's not going to go out there and drop 20, but he doesn't really need to with the scores on that team. He's just kind of like reinforcement, which is the role of a sixth man. So,
right. Mine is Clarkson. Just because the sixth man of the year is like kind of a best bench scorer kind of award at this point.
yeah.
Like, and it just kind of feels like he's the best at that. And it also feels like the guy who wins sixth man of the year once usually gets it like 2 or 3 times. Like, it feels like the most notable sixth men of all time have all won the award like 3 times. Like, Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford are the 2 guys that immediately come to mind. And I think Jordan Clarkson's has that type of role and is that type of scorer that I think he could win it again this year.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see that. Who did he win it last year?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
You want to do
I don't know
MIP?
why, but yeah, sure. I don't know why, but I completely forget who won the awards last year, aside from Jokic's MVP. Like, I just don't remember them.
Yeah, I kind of am also forgetting it now. Who won MIP last year?
Julius Randle. I had to look that one
Yes, that's right.
up. All right.
MIP.
You want me to go?
Yeah, who you got?
All right. So I had it narrowed down to 3. I'm going to pick my 1, and then I'll say the 3 I had written down. So
Okay.
my MIP is Ja Morant because this
Ooh.
man is averaging like 35 and 10 or some crazy shit like that, or 35 and 8 through like the first few games. And I don't think he's going to continue that trajectory this entire season, but I definitely think he's going to be like all-star, like take the Grizzlies to more than just the play-in tournament Ja Morant this year. He's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, he's been balling.
The other guys I had Tyler Herro and Miles Bridges, but I think Ja Morant could win it.
Okay. I'm going to do... I made this prediction before the season started. I'm going to do one honorable mention. Miles Bridges has been balling. That is not a guy that I really had on the list before the season, but now that we've got a week in, I think I can comfortably put him in that conversation. And then my MIP He's missed some time over his first few years, but I do really think he could be pretty good. He has been pretty good when he does play. I think that he is going to take that leap into being that team's bona fide second best player, second star. I like Trey J. I think he's good. I think that he's gonna do that. So he is my most improved player pick.
I like Jaren Jackson, but I feel like Desmond Bane has just been getting so many scoring options that
Yeah,
Jaren
he's been
Jackson
balling.
just hasn't been.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right. What are we doing next?
Coach of the year?
Coach of the year. My coach of the year is Billy Donovan because the Bulls have been pretty bad. I honestly think if anything higher than like the 6 or 5 seed will probably get it, just because usually they give it to the best record. But when a guy takes a team from not in the playoffs to the top 4 seed, granted they added like Vooch and DeMar and stuff like that, but usually that coach is in the running for the award.
Yeah. My coach of the year is Nate McMillan. And there were a couple years in Indiana where Nate McMillan probably could have won it. I think that watching Atlanta, they are a night and day team from... Who is their last coach again?
Lloyd Pierce, I believe.
Lloyd Pierce. They are a night and day basketball team. The difference between Nate McMillan and Lloyd Pierce is like... If they keep Lloyd Pierce for all of last year, they probably missed the playoffs. And firing him and replacing him with Nate McMillan is what got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I had Atlanta as my second seed. I have them finishing above Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Miami, Chicago, all those teams, because I think that Nate McMillan is a very good coach, and I think that roster is so deep. And say what you want about, like, whatever. Like, they're super young. It just kind of feels like this is it for them. It feels like they've kind of figured it out, especially with that Eastern Conference Finals run. I think Nate McMillan's a good enough coach, and I think that if they are the 2 seed, he'll get it.
Yeah. I think you're a little higher on the Hawks than I am, having them at the 2 seed, but he is a very good coach.
Yeah,
I'm sad we let him go. Even though I like Carlisle now, but like
McMillan, but that one Bjorkgren year, that's gonna haunt me.
Yeah.
Depoy or Rookie of the Year?
You can do Depoy.
All right.
Now, we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording. It's so easy to just give the award to Gobert because he's obviously the best defender in the league. Like, him and Giannis are pretty much above everyone else, and it's not super close. But I don't think, like, they're not going to give it to Gobert 4 years out of 5. So, my Depoy, as of right now, is Jimmy Butler. He's leading the NBA in defensive win shares. He's averaging 3 steals a game. And I think if he doesn't go down with an injury this year, I don't see that falling off drastically. The Heat have been pretty good so far. I think he has a chance to win it. If not him, I think Bam, because he started a little slower defensively, but I think that's just because everyone else has been picking it up. But so yeah, I think Jimmy Butler is like my current prediction.
All right, mine is Bam. Bam, I think you're spot on. That team just feels like a team that's gonna play elite defense all season. And I feel like Bam's kind of due for one. Like, he's been like a top 5 defensive player these last couple years. And like, those guys eventually win one. This kind of feels like the year where where everything's gonna kind of start going his way. Voter fatigue for Gobert. The other dude I could see is Giannis, but I don't know. Especially if he wins another award that I have him pegged to win.
Rookie of the Year.
Yes, Rookie of the Year. So yeah, that's just I think it's gonna be Bam.
Yeah. The Heat are I looked it up before while I was doing my predictions. The Heat are the second best defense right now behind the Jazz. And if Rudy Gobert doesn't win the award, which I think both of us think he won't, I feel like it's got to be one of the two that we pick. Assuming
it's
this
usually
trajectory
like
continues.
the best center on the team with the best team defense, and that'll probably be Gobert, but they might not want to give it to him, so it'll then be Bam.
Yeah. All right, Rookie of the Year?
Yes.
Is this the one you changed?
Yes.
All right, I think we have the same person here.
Ooh, do
Yes,
we?
Scotty Barnes.
No.
Oh, never mind.
Ooh.
Okay, I got Scotty Barnes because he's been popping the fuck off.
He has been balling.
I know you like it because he's on your fantasy team, but he's been playing so. Like I don't watch any college basketball, but I thought Scotty Barnes was cool from like the highlights that I saw, I guess. But I didn't see him being this good like right away, you know.
Yeah.
But he's been awesome. I watched the Raptors game yesterday, and he's really awesome. Like, he just flows in the offense so well.
Right. I'll never forget at the draft that Scotty Barnes was seen as like one of the worst picks of the night at 4th overall, even though pretty much everybody had him going like 5th or 6th at the lowest. So, but everybody was like, why would you take this like raw forward from Florida State that like was pretty good, but like he wasn't better than Jalen Suggs or whatever? And like that's
2
why.
years in a row where a raw prospect from Florida State went 4th.
I know. That's why you take a guy like him. Like, watching him play is just like, he's crazy. He had a Giannis-esque play the other day. He got like a steal or a block or something, and he took it coast to coast in like 3 dribbles, like and just hammered it home. He's just that guy, pal. He's just that guy. Yeah. He's really good.
And another thing I want to say, oh, sorry, you got something else.
No. Keep going.
What I was going to say, because you talked about how he's like a raw prospect, the Raptors are the best team to take a raw prospect because their development is the best in the NBA.
Like, if Masai Ujiri likes a 6'8" forward, he's probably gonna be good.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when
people were talking about.
I remember when people were talking about Chris Boucher as like the next Pascal Siakam, and then everybody realized he was 29, and then they were like, okay, maybe not. But like, they just get the most out of their forwards. I don't know if it's like the offense or the coaching or what it is, but like, it feels like every time they get like a 6'8" to 6'10" guy that they play at forward, he's like the next young star at the position. And Scotty Barnes is just like, he's nuts, man. He's nuts.
Yeah, he's awesome.
That being said, I don't have him winning Rookie of the Year. I have Evan
now I'm
Mobley
curious. Who do you have?
I've got Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, I just made a video about this on TikTok. Evan Mobley, I think, would have been the first overall pick in like 7 or 8 out of the last 10 drafts. Like, this draft class was so ridiculous that he wasn't even getting consideration for the first overall pick. But, like, I went through and I was like, okay, 2020, he's definitely getting buzz for first overall pick, just as a prospect. Like, 2019, Zion probably runs away with it. But 2018, like, hindsight's 2020 with Luka. He was not seen as a better prospect than DeAndre Ayton at the time, and I think Evan Mobley was a better prospect than Ayton. 2017, 2016, I think he runs away with it. 2015, maybe not better than Cat. But, like, I kept going down the list, and I was like, this draft class was probably the worst possible class for him to go in, because there was like a generational point guard and then like one of the best shooting guard prospects to come out in the last 5 years that went first and second overall. But I was like, if in any other draft class, like a 7-foot center who's elite defensively, can like shoot the 3 ball and can take it coast to coast, like that guy is definitely getting first overall buzz in basically every other draft. And to see what he's doing, Evan Mobley is averaging a block and a half per game. He's shooting 33% from 3. He's averaging like 15 points. He's the best player on the Cavaliers at this moment. And it feels like the Cavs finally have some post-LeBron direction. The fact that the Cavaliers sat at 3rd and like basically walked into this like incredible center prospect is crazy, and he's showing it. He's great. I saw somebody say he might win Depoy and Rookie of the Year, and like that's a little crazy. But like you look at some of his defense, and it's really not. Like he looks like those highlights of Wilt Chamberlain, like his blocks, or no, not Wilt Chamberlain, like Bol Bol or like Dikembe Mutombo, like all like these elite defensive centers that just like eat blocks for breakfast, and he's just like, and they make it look so easy and on defense, and I love him. I think he's awesome. He's been so good these first couple weeks that like I had Jalen Green as the Rookie of the Year. I was like, I can't. It's Mobley. It's Mobley. Like he's just so fucking good, dude. Like it's crazy.
I wanted to add the Cavs. I don't know what they're doing, starting 3 7-footers and 2 6-footers. It's so dumb, but Evan Mobley has been able to guard anywhere from the 3 through 5.
Yes, that's what's crazy.
Which is very
He's
impressive.
a 7-footer that moves like Scotty Barnes or Giannis. Like he doesn't really move like and he's not even a 7-footer. He's like 7'2". Like he's enormous, and he moves like these like hybrid forwards that like Siakam or Scotty Barnes or Giannis, and it's just crazy to watch. He rocks.
Yeah, he's awesome. I just wish the Cavs would not suck.
Yeah, but it feels like they'll probably suck for a couple more years, but it feels like they've got some direction that they haven't had post LeBron. Like I like Sexton, I like Garland. Those guys aren't like guys that I think are future MVPs. Mobley has legit like MVP potential, I think, with his skill set as it continues to evolve in his career. I think he's that good. Like I think he's that guy, pal.
All right, MVP.
Who you got?
I want to go. All right, I got Giannis.
Okay, I got Giannis too.
Which I feel bad. Like Giannis is really good. I'm coming off of the high of my bold prediction into Jokic's MVP last year, and I got to go with like the obvious pick because I
forgot about that.
Because Giannis is just so good.
Yeah, I saw. This isn't really my original thinking, but I saw. I forget who it was, but somebody was talking about how, like, if you're a guy who wins a bunch of MVPs and then gets over the hump as a champion, that's kind of like the reset for voter fatigue. Because like it's like you gotta win one after you win the MVPs. Like you gotta win a championship, and then as soon as you do that, like they're a little bit more willing to vote for you to be the MVP.
Well, that was the biggest knock on him after he won his MVP. Was like, all right, cool, you got this MVP. Now, get past the Heat, get past Kawhi, win this championship.
Yeah. And he won it. He won Finals MVP. He was dominant through the playoffs. Like the way we see Giannis now compared to even like 8 months ago is ridiculous. But it's changed so much, and I think that's the reset. He's gonna put up the numbers. He's gonna play the defense. He'll probably finish like top 5 in Depoy voting too. Yeah. And the Bucks are gonna win the games. I think that the Bucks are kind of like the runaway 1 seed in the East. Like I would not be surprised at all if they've got like a 5-game cushion on Atlanta or Brooklyn or Chicago or whoever's the 2nd seed.
I don't know. I feel like I think they are, but I think they take it a little easier. Like. Because remember last year they were the 3 seed. They weren't really trying to like, they were like resting their players a little bit.
That's true because they did get kind of burnt out those last. They might have kind of realized that like, okay, well maybe going super hard for 82 games isn't the best way to do this.
But like if they definitely could. I mean the East is wide open right now, especially with obviously the whole thing with Kyrie and the Nets right now. The Sixers have their problems, so like.
What I will say about the Nets is, even though I don't think James Harden's washed, they still don't look great. Outside him,
they need Kyrie.
They need Kyrie, and they need their other guys, to kind of start playing well.
Aldridge dropped a 20-piece the other day.
Oh, yep, Aldridge. I'm so glad he got medically cleared. Like, if they win a ring, I wouldn't be thrilled. But
I would kind of like Aldridge.
Yeah, another guy. I know, like, we're done with our awards and stuff, but before we wrap up the show, I wanted to get your thoughts on Zion Williamson.
Stop body shaming my sweet boy.
Dude, he's gained a lot of weight.
Yeah, here's the thing with Zion is I think that people overblow how fat he is because of the way he plays. Like, nobody cares that Jokic gets fat because he doesn't play like Zion does. But there's like a legitimate
double chin, man.
There's a legit health risk for Zion to be 300 pounds with the way he plays. If Jokic is 300 pounds, nobody gives a shit because Jokic, whether he's
like
300
12-inch
pounds
vertical.
or 240, he's not jumping. Yeah, exactly. He's not jumping more than 3 inches off the ground. Zion, and this just speaks to how insane of an athlete he is. Zion can jump out of the gym regardless of what his weight is. But with that extra 15 to 20 pound cushion, it makes it that much harder on his knees and his legs when he comes back down.
Yeah.
And I do think that I think that Zion's weight is going to be a narrative every single year. He just feels like one of those guys where he's going to start out the year, everybody's going to be like, Zion's got a little bit of junk in the trunk, and then he's going to play himself into shape. He might just be one of those guys. Like Charles Barkley was one of those guys. Jokic started off this year healthy, but the last couple of years he's kind of come in as a little bit of a chunk monster. So I wouldn't be super surprised if Zion ends up being just like a guy that plays himself into shape. The problem is when you get into his play style and his injury history, especially lower body leg injuries. Like, it's just like, okay, you can't be chunky and also play like Larry Johnson. It's just, I don't know. I'm not like, people act like he's like morbidly obese or whatever, and he's not, but he is like, he is not the way he plays, it is not going to be good if he's this weight.
I'm hoping, he has like a revelation. Like, how Joel Embiid a few years back, he was like genuinely getting sick in the playoffs because of how unhealthy he was, and he was like, yeah, I got to turn this shit around. I'm hoping that sooner rather than later, Zion has that revelation of like, I got to fix this up. I got to like start taking, I'm not saying he's not taking it seriously, but I think he's got to change things up a little bit because it's not
he's 20.
sustainable.
I mean, he's going to have to mature, which like he probably should, but
all right. But yeah, I think that's all I got. You got anything else to add?
I don't really think so. I mean, I think Chris Duarte might finish top 5 in Rookie of the Year, or no, in MVP voting.
What?
In Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. Dude, the Pacers just suck, man.
Yeah, the Pacers suck, but like the Cavs are gonna suck, and the Raptors are gonna suck, and the Magic and Rockets, like all these teams with rookies that I think are gonna finish at the top of the Rookie of the Year voting, like they all suck too. And the Pacers might be a little bit better because they actually have like a good coach and like kind of a squad around Duarte.
Duarte's the real centerpiece, huh?
Yeah, he's the franchise player already.
Yep. All right. I think that's it, though. You got anything else?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, cool. Then thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully it will be a little more consistent now.
Yes.
Remember to like and subscribe, all that stuff. I got to figure out how to get like TikTok accounts and stuff, but I can link Aiden's TikTok in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.
Yeah, bye.